I need an intro.
Just start the damn video!
Alright, what's going on, guys? Like I said, there's no reason not to be using this channel, and this is the first video that I'm going to do. Aside from that intro video where I just kind of came in and said that I'd like to get this thing going again, this is the first video that I'm going to do on this channel.
I'm back, baby.
Probably could have phrased that better. Whatever. Okay, I started Star Trek Bridge Crew. Now, this was something that I wanted to come in and talk about because this is something I've wanted for years. For years, I wanted a good Star Trek game, and they're very far and few between. Not to say that there haven't been good Star Trek games, but you take a major risk. A lot of them are such garbage, or they have really good ideas that just are not implemented well. Like, to me, one of the greatest Star Trek games they could ever do is if you got somebody like the crew that worked on Mass Effect, where decisions matter and they affect what's going on, right? And I'd say that Mass Effect, reworked, could have been an excellent Star Trek game. It really could have. You could have went to different planets, explored, looked at different things, discovered artifacts, alien relics, a bunch of side quests all over the place, and then a giant major Star Trek-esque story that affects whatever quadrant of space, whatever era you're playing in, if you're playing in the original era or you know, it would really be, really would be cool. And it would help this character an awful lot, is if you went and got the voice actors for the people that played in Star Trek Generations when we were introduced to the Enterprise B. That would be great. Pick that era. We don't really know much about it. In terms of television, there's been a series of books and things like that to kind of explain what John Harriman went through after he was basically blamed for the death of Kirk, and that followed him his entire career. I'm positive of it. And so there's a lot of different things like that that would be interesting that he could play with, where he could be the captain, of course, and it could make you one of the crew members, and then you could proceed up the ranks and yada yada, and through some said series of circumstances, you never become captain, but you're important to the tale and what's going on. It would be cool. Or if you just were John Harriman, whatever, and then he could voice all of it, and just the way you pick your options and everything, that's perfect. That's the way a Star Trek game really should be. It's the way I see it. But, that aside, they released this game. And when I first seen it, one of the first things I seen was they got Geordi LaForge to come in and do the test where he wore the headset and everything, and he did the VR, and then he got the talking, and he started getting the linguals going, and he got the communications right, and then after a while it started sounding like he was right back in the show, and he led us through an actual adventure, and that was the way they introduced this game. I remember watching it. I think it was during the E3 presentation, and I was just blown away, man. But then the price hit me, and I was not blown away. This game was like $60, and I also needed the VR stuff. And from what I understand, the VR stuff works better on the PlayStation Pro than it does on what I have, which is just the normal PlayStation 4. So there were a lot of things working against me, and I did not get to play this game for a couple of things. Like, even if I could have afforded it, I wanted to play with people that I knew. And this led to a problem almost instantly because, well, like, I got to go, hey, Scott, would you like to spend $500 on a single thing so that we can play this game? And then I'm like, hey, Shane, would you like to spend $500? And it just went on like that. It was just like 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. So we got like, oh man, we got like $2,000 worth of investment just to play one game. And there was nothing else in the VR that interested me. Nothing else. Literally nothing else. It's just not me. I'm not here to argue about whether virtual reality is good or whatever. Just, it's not my thing. It's never been my thing. I don't care. I think it's too much of a gimmick. And I think that oftentimes it's nothing more than a first-person shooter or something of that nature, and it's not quite as VR as I would like it to be. And also it's disorienting because you're moving around, but you're not moving around. So this was the first time that I seen VR that interested me. One, it was Star Trek. Two, you actually sit right here in a chair. So you're not moving around. And that created something for me that I was very interested in, because like I was able to, you would be able to look around. You didn't actually have to move the chair. You wouldn't get that disoriented, sick feeling. I see the videos where the guys get on there and they're like, wow, wow. They just wiggle their hands all over the place. But it's cool. It's cool. That's something that really interested me. So, long story short, they finally said, no more VR. It's not required. Now you can just use the controller. You can just play. And that's a good thing, too, because guys, I feel like VR is a gimmick. It is. I know people want it. I know there's a group out there that is really addicted to it and really thinks it's something special. For me, it's not. It's just a gimmick. And I just never seen it going anywhere. I don't think that we're ready. I think we're making baby steps and that we're moving in a direction that might put us there someday. But aside from having like a big giant cabinet thing in your living room with a treadmill that allows you to actually walk in different directions, and you're tied up to a thing around your waist, so it's just not practical. It's not practical. But them releasing it to the controller, just making a first-person game, it works. And I said to myself back when I first seen it, this makes a lot of sense. Like, it's not going to be as story-heavy. It's not going to be like where I'm going to get to make all kinds of decisions and things like the Mass Effect-esque Star Trek game that I've always wanted. But this seems genuinely interesting. Like, you have a captain, you have a navigational, you have a tactical, and you have an engineering. And they're all important. They all play very significant roles, and they all have to work with each other, or all of you die. That's the way it is. Everybody's relying on everybody else. Like, the captain handles certain things like view screens and a lot of micromanagement information. That was the first thing I tried when I went into the tutorials. I was like, let me see what this is about. I did the captain's training, and I was like, I better do everybody's, because I'm definitely going to need to know the stations after doing what I just did. So I go in and I look at the stations, and everything kind of checks out, and I get everything. And so far with my experience in play, keep in mind, today is the first day. It's the only day I've played. I have been the tactical officer. I jump back and forth between tactical and engineering during that op. And I've been the captain. The captain is more of a fantasy thing. I like it. And I admit, without meaning to, I've fallen into that role many times in my life in terms of leadership in general. I don't know why. It's just somewhere where I end up. So I feel natural assessing situations and everything, so that worked for me. After I got the hang of what was going on, I did pretty well. And Nick was the one that played with me today, Nick and Shane. And Nick was working as our engineer. He says he really likes engineering. He hopped over to the navigational con. He says that's okay. So far, his favorite place is engineering. He's been captain, nav, and he's been engineering. Shane played today. He played navigational and he played tactical, and he likes the tactical station so far more than he likes navigational, which is kind of crazy, because all these years that I've been writing my Star Trek kind of fan book, Shane is one of my officers in that book, and he's been the navigational officer for like 20 stories or something like that. But regardless, the game was really something. Like, it feels so good. It feels like a real experience on the bridge. Like, okay, it started out, we did the Kobayashi Maru, okay? And you get your little communication, and that's up to the captain. He actually has to answer hails and things like that. So he's like, beep. Then the captain says, okay. I'm like, all right. Now they don't get these maps. So we get a map, and I got to bring up like all these displays and whatnot. I can see certain things, and I can say, all right, take us to so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I push the buttons on my screen, and then that gives them commands, and then they carry out those commands. So if I'm not paying attention, which kind of hurt us at one point. We ran into a mine, and the reason we did is because I wasn't thinking about it. They were like, there are mines surrounding us, and I was like, doop, 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 and we did not activate shields, and the mine hit us. Boom! And it caused like 25% damage to the hull, which you can't repair. You can repair systems and things like that, and you can reroute power and all that kind of stuff from the engineering, but you can't actually fix damage to the hull. You get damage to the hull, it's staying with you, which is actually really cool because as we played, and we went through the Kobayashi Maru, and that was rough, by the way. We saved a couple of people, not very many from that ship, took massive damage. Ship was all the way down to like 15%, and I said, okay, we've done what we can do. Those guys are dead. I'm sorry. And when I beep, and I said, get us out of here, warp, and we went that way. We're out. So we use the warp, we get away, and then that's the mission. The mission was over as soon as we got away. And it starts giving us our results and stuff like that. But during the time we were playing, sorry, I had to move the thing. During the time we were playing, you would get hit. And the ship would like shake, and your guys would be like, "Oh my god!" And like the consoles would spark and everything, and the guys would be like, and they put up their hands, "Oh my god!" And like wires and stuff would come down from the ceilings, and like there was like cracks and explosions and dark areas and stuff like that. And it was really cool because as we fixed different systems and put out fires and things like that, yes, it kind of went back to normal. But that damage stayed there. Like the wires that had fallen out of the ceiling and whatnot that were laying in front, they were still there. They didn't go anywhere. And that was really cool. It adds to the whole experience. The game is immersive. It feels like you're there. It feels like you're in that world. You're in that universe. You're making these decisions. You're doing these things. And there's all kinds of ways that you can do different things. Like the Aegis, which is the ship that you are, it is an NX, it's a prototype ship, and it is designed for a type of stealth running. It's able to avoid detection a lot more than other vessels are. So there's different things you can do where you can move slower and kind of... like there's a mission with these Klingons. You're supposed to be looking for certain wreckage. But there's Klingons, and they're all over the place in here, and you got to look out. So you can actually use different things to your advantage. Like you can scan this nebula over here, and then you know, the Vulcan guy on the science station, which is not a station that we get. That I don't like. But if this goes the way I hope it goes, we might see another game, and we might not. Maybe, hopefully, we won't be confined simply to the Kelvin universe. And if that's true, that would be really cool because we could see other eras, like the not necessarily anything around the Enterprise. You do get an Enterprise. You can be on the Enterprise, but it's for like advanced players. It's a little more difficult because of the way it's set up. But it would be cool if the next game actually has like a science station, a communications op, and different things like that. It would really be interesting to see how much this could advance, and if we could get different ships, different missions, different eras. Like maybe if they went with the whole "you're a time agent" or whatever. I don't really care for that time crap, but it works in terms of a game. That it could drop you into different eras and have different ships. Or what if it just says whatever? Like it doesn't even worry about that. We don't need the storylines necessarily. We need one major storyline, an op, which we can play that has its own ship and everything, and that goes through 12, 15 missions, and then when that's done, it could kick us into ongoing voyages, and you could just pick different ships and different eras and go on different missions that are randomly generated. That'd be fine with me. But the game, the biggest draw to the game is that it feels like you're there. I'm telling you guys, like, it, in a way, I wish I could have experienced the VR. I'm not too disappointed, but it would have been nice. It would have been real cool to actually have that headset on and be even more there than I already was. But man, I was there. I was on the bridge. I was living the experience. I was the captain. I made the calls. They operated the ship. I saw the damage. I felt the shake. Like, it was crazy. This game is awesome. This is something that I've wanted for years, and I had a hell of an experience. It was really, really cool. And I just wanted to come in here and kind of share my excitement. Not necessarily do a review or something like that, just my excitement, my overall actual feeling after playing the game for just one day. I've done like 2 missions with real people and 2 missions by myself, and then I tried an ongoing mission, which was a randomly generated mission. I became dead. If I had to say anything in terms of review status, I would say that the AI, kind of crappy. It is responsive, but it's not as good. When you play by yourself, you can definitely tell that you're by yourself. The human element is missing. The people relying on each other for information and getting things done, and everybody kind of bouncing off each other and being like, I can't shoot this guy. And like there's something to be said about all 4 people in the room actually on the game. That's a big deal. You need that. The human interaction is so important in this game. It makes the game work. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to come in and want to tell you guys how excited I really was, how cool this game was. And for that matter, if any of you guys are interested at all, I'm loving this game. My time is kind of rough. I work 3rd shift, and that can be rough to actually meet up with me, because sometimes I'm awake at night, and sometimes I'm not, and sometimes it's the weekend, but I'm still busy because 3rd shift lifestyle leaves me to do a lot of stuff on the weekend. It's crazy. But that being said, if anybody finds this video, if anybody's interested, if anybody wants to, you could leave a comment in the section below. I have it for PlayStation 4. It says that it allows crossplay. I don't know if that means I can play with people on Xbox, but if I can, I would. I would play with just about anybody that was interested, that had a genuine interest in playing it. I would like to try to stay everybody on the same field. I mean, I guess if you're in VR and I'm not, it wouldn't really hurt the situation. But I don't know. I kind of want everybody on the same page. Everybody's got the controller, everybody's got the headset, kind of thing. If not, that's the way it is. If you're interested at all, if you've never played it, if you're going to get it, right now it's on sale for $20. So if that's something that interests you, maybe you could send me a comment or something like that. And maybe we'll meet up or something while we're on there. Anyways, guys, that's all I had here. I just wanted to share my excitement, and I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.